Hey everyone, welcome back for another special bonus episode of Count Me In. Over the last few weeks, we have interviewed various IMA staff members from across the globe and shared their perspectives on how business in their region is being handled following the disruption of COVID 19. We have heard about business continuity in the Middle East and India, China, and now today we are going to share information coming from Europe. Adam spoke with Alain Mulder, Senior Director of Europe Operations for IMA, and Bernardin Generalao, IMA's Director of Regional Partner Relations. For more global perspectives and business insights, keep listening as we head over to their conversation now.
So we are going through a globally challenging period. And with IMA's regional Europe offices based in Amsterdam and Zurich, can you tell us a little bit about how this region is coping with the situation? And what are some of the highlights of government-level initiatives being taken?
Well, let me first say that I hope that you are all safe and taking care of yourself and your family as we beat this COVID-19 crisis. And I also want to express my heartfelt sympathy to all being affected by this pandemic and also the loved ones of the ones who have left us. So IMA's approach to this challenge has been simple: to demonstrate social responsibility for the safety and well-being of our stakeholders, including our staff, professionals, and students in more than 150 countries, and of course our partners. Before our local governments decided to call a lockdown, we already decided to start working from home and not from the office anymore. So like I said, the well-being of our stakeholders is our priority. And in the first week of March, for example, we had many conferences happening across Europe, including Switzerland and France. And we immediately decided to cancel these events to make sure we, our members and stakeholders are all safe. Of course, this was very unfortunate because I was looking forward to these events for months and the teams and speakers put a lot of effort into the preparations. But we have to take our responsibility during these difficult times. And in Europe, we currently have approximately 1.1 million COVID-19 cases, and especially Italy and Spain are heavily affected. In Europe, we currently have 1.1 million COVID-19 cases, and especially Italy and Spain are heavily affected. We saw that most European countries have observed decreases in the daily number of newly reported cases in the last 2 weeks. And as of April 22nd, 20 countries had decreasing 40-day incidents, with 19 countries reporting a current 14 days incident below 50 cases per 100k population. And although the composition and intensity of implementation vary, all European countries and the UK have introduced a range of non-pharmaceutical interventions, such as stay-at-home policies, recommended or enforced, alongside other community and physical distancing measures, such as the cancellation of mass gathering and closure of educational institutions and public spaces to reduce transmission. So, while uncertainty remains about the extent to which the combination and intensity of these measures impact transmission, in several countries here in Europe, such measures are associated, at least temporarily, with decreases in the number of newly reported cases at the population level. So also transmission rates within the countries are heterogeneous, and even in countries with a high incidence of COVID-19, there are areas where sustained community transmission has been halted or strongly reduced. In countries with appropriate measures in place, as well as in areas where transmission had declined or remained low, the probability of infection with COVID-19 is currently assessed as low. And in many European countries, we see the early signs of post-lockdown rise in activity, and governments are now taking the first steps reopening societies and economies. Here in the Netherlands, for example, elementary schools were reopened for half of the time, and also other countries are now reopening.
Well, here in Switzerland, an easing of measures in 3 phases was introduced end of April. So public institutions, schools, private businesses are scheduled to reopen with 3-week intervals until mid-June. There are various guidelines and regulations towards social gatherings and on-site events. So similar to most countries, physical distancing measures are highly recommended and also followed by the public. So as Alain mentioned, we have all had to act fast and remain vigilant. Hard to say that any organization was prepared for a pandemic, and we are privileged to be at an organization with a high level of readiness for this unusual time of crisis.
So, as leaders in this region, you guys have had to make some difficult decisions to ensure that business continues and the staff is safe. What have been some of your guiding principles during this challenging time?
Well, like I said, the well-being of our stakeholders is our priority, and our senior leadership and our president and CEO, Jeff Thompson, has been very clear from the beginning. The well-being of our stakeholders is our number one priority. And that has always been the guiding principle for me. Safety is above commercialism, and therefore we postponed our events across Europe and we immediately started working from home. We are very fortunate that our organization was well prepared for that, and we used to work from home remotely while traveling and have all the systems in place.
Well, I couldn't agree more with Alain. As cliche as it sounds, safety first is more prevalent than ever. Worth noting that aside from the behavior of organizations, every individual reacts differently to this punctuated equilibrium. Prior to this current situation, there was a relative period of stability, contrary to where we are now, where there are periods of rapid change. So, for many individuals, this pandemic has been a period of loss, for example, with regards to normalcy, safety, and livelihood. So, consequently, one should be mindful or at least familiarize themselves with the grief cycle from Kubler-Ross. The grief cycle is stages of denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and lastly, acceptance. Any individual or organization you're dealing with can be in any one of these stages. So, what I'm saying is remember to be empathetic or more empathetic than usual.
I think that's some great advice, Bernardin. We're all dealing with differing levels of that grief cycle as we're dealing with the loss of normalcy, and this new normal is taking over. So, how has IMA adapted to this new situation of working remotely? I know, Alain, you mentioned that IMA was very well prepared for that because a number of people do work from home at times. But how else has IMA adapted?
Well, IMA immediately adapted to the new situation of remote work. So, as a global organization, we had been monitoring the effects of the pandemic on our colleagues located in other offices where COVID 19 had previously reached peak levels. The Zurich office is in the center, which means that my commute includes public transportation via bus, train, and trams. And of course, I wanted to avoid all of that. And the company directive to work from home came regardless. So I was never in a position to feel that I was being an inconvenience to our processes. I also travel frequently within Central Europe to manage relations with our stakeholders, which means that working from a cafe or hotel, a train or plane, on my laptop, cell phone, or tablet was more or less normal for me. Personally, remote work did not present much of a transition. That might not be the case for everyone, especially as if one is used to having a routine commute on a daily basis. For most professionals in these times, they're not only working in a new physical environment, but more importantly, in a new emotional environment. So this also means that the motivational stimuli in this new way of work have to be adapted as well. And IMA has given us a chance to acclimatize, particularly with regards to work-life boundaries. So most working professionals have additional obligations during this lockdown. Children are homeschooled, so you have to be the teacher, and the elderly need extra support in errands, life as we know it now.
So, how is IMA managing this task at hand? What are some of the immediate actions you've taken?
Well, our stakeholders have been very appreciative and cognizant of our actions. In this time of need, we definitely want to be there. We want to help those in the accounting and finance profession cope with the disruption caused by the COVID 19 pandemic. As you know, IMA has made many valuable education resources available free of charge to the greater community for 90 days. And the variety of resources provided to non-members include select learning products, publications, and career networking resources. So we believe that committing to being a learning individual or a learning organization in education is part of our social responsibility. As an example, classroom and teaching resources were made readily available for academics, besides the virtual CMA info sessions we have conducted at dozens of European universities in recent weeks. We have also launched the new IMA Data Analytics and Visualization Fundamentals Certificate, as well as Blockchain 101, just recently, and both have been well received, and thousands of finance and accounting professionals have already completed it as a means of continuous professional education. Now, in addition, our member volunteers and chapter leaders from Switzerland, Germany, Amsterdam have facilitated several webinars with current topics to keep the engagement level high among IMA members. Most events have been converted into a virtual format, providing the flexibility we all need. The IMA Switzerland chapter, and this is brand new, is organizing a virtual management accounting conference on June 17th. With presentations from renowned speakers, a roundtable discussion, a keynote speech from IMA's Global Chair-elect Paul Juras, and a virtual networking feature within the event. So if you're interested in learning more, do follow our channels.
So to kind of wrap things up, what advice would you give to other regional and global leaders going through the same challenges that you are currently?
Well, we have all been united in our effort to understand and come to grips with the COVID-19 crisis. And as a leader, you now have to think about the safety of your staff. We also have to make sure they feel safe to do their work and make sure they can work in comfort and take care of their family. We ask our team in Europe if they have everything at home to do their work safe, like equipment, and if not, we made sure it was delivered. As a leader, you now also have to understand that there is no strict difference between work and private anymore. So don't make a fuss about it. If you hear children in a conference call, we all understand. Also trust your staff. I see tremendous motivation and work ethics in my team. So my advice for now is to be a servant leader and trust your team. And I'm confident our team will come out of this situation stronger than ever, and we will hit the ground running when this is all over.
This has been Count Me In, IMA's podcast, providing you with the latest perspectives of thought leaders from the accounting and finance profession. If you like what you heard and you'd like to be counted in for more relevant accounting and finance education, visit IMA's website at www.imanet.org.